For many Indian tribes in Washington state, fishing has always been integral to their way of life. In Washington versus Washington State Commercial Passenger Fishing Vessel Association, the court considered whether a treaty purporting to protect Indian fishing rights guarantees Indian fishermen a share of harvestable fish, or merely the opportunity to fish. In the mid-1800s, the United States entered into a series of treaties with Indian tribes living in a territory near the Cascade Mountains in present-day Washington. The tribes agreed to relinquish their right to most of the territory in exchange for money and other guarantees, including the right to take fish from designated tribal fishing grounds within the territory. Thereafter, Indians and non-Indians enjoyed fishing on those grounds, without interfering with one another's ability to catch the number of fish adequate to suit their needs. But by the early 20th century, due to developments in the canning and processing of fish, as well as state regulations that favored non-Indian fishermen, non-Indians were dominating the fishing grounds to the exclusion of most Indians. In 1970, the United States filed suit against Washington, seeking a declaration interpreting the Indians' right to take fish and an injunction to require Washington to protect that right. The U.S. argued that the right to take fish, granted by the treaties, entitled the Indians to either a set percentage share of all fish harvested from the designated fishing grounds, or enough fish to sustain the tribe's needs, whichever was less. On the other hand, Washington's Department of Game argued that the Indians were entitled only to the opportunity to catch fish in the designated fishing grounds. The district court agreed with the U.S. and held that the Indians were entitled to a 50% share of all harvestable fish that passed through the designated fishing grounds. The district court also ordered Washington to institute regulations to protect the Indians' fishing rights. However, Washington refused, and in the absence of state regulations, the district court issued a series of orders to federally regulate Indian fishing rights in Washington. The Ninth Circuit affirmed the orders, and the U.S. Supreme Court granted cert.